Hi, Shiny Soul. I am so glad you're here. I'm your astrologer, Dorothy Taylor, and today we're going to take a look at the upcoming astrological climate for the week between May 27th and June 3rd, 2022. We have a lot of stuff going on. There are multiple alignments taking place that are impacting us all. And if you have your chart, please get it out and watch the areas that we discuss with this sign or that in your own chart, and you will be able to relate the information that I provide to your very own chart. Okay, so we have a Mercury Venus alignment with Pluto. Not Mercury is at a trine and Venus is at a square. As we start out the week on Friday here, we have Venus moving into Taurus tomorrow. We have Mars conjunct Jupiter on the 29th, a new moon on the 30th, and then Mercury will turn direct on the 3rd of June. And I'm going to throw in there, just as so you know, Saturn begins its retrograde on June 4th, even though that's not, officially a part of the week we're discussing. We also have a Neptune-Saturn semi-sextile that is working in the background here. So any of the planets such as from Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, those are all kind of operating in the background of our lives with these faster moving planets, the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars coming by and triggering or aligning with these planets and triggering a response. So as we get started today, the moon is right here in Taurus, and we'll move the chart to the new moon in a little bit, but today I want to talk about Taurus in the moon in Taurus, getting ready to conjunct Uranus. We'll talk about the other alignments as we get deeper into this subject. But the moon moves pretty fast, and so the moon overnight will conjunct, early morning, conjunct Uranus. And this is the first time the moon has been in Taurus since the eclipses of April 30th and May 16th. And so this is probably still a really pretty loaded house. We also have the retrograde of Mercury involved in this setup. Mercury was in Gemini. The Sun is now in Gemini, and Mercury and Gemini kind of traded places in the chart. And Mercury is backing up into Uranus. So there's this emotional, intellectual, revolutionary experience going on in Taurus. It's kind of liberating if you're a Taurus, it can be liberating. It can also be unsettling emotionally. And so you might have this feeling that you are in the middle of these really unpredictable changes that are happening, and insurmountable obstacles are in your path, and then suddenly each time the moon passes Uranus, you get a nugget of emotional insight that leads to a new perspective, a new resolution for an old, worn-out problem or behavior or attitude. So the moon going by here each month is going to dribble change, emotional change and freedom into your life. Now, Uranus has been in there since May 2019 and will stay in there until 2025. So you've got a good amount of time. You don't need to absorb all of this energy all at once. You don't need to know all the answers as we go through this little experience with Uranus and Taurus. And think of it as experimentation. It's a good analogy for having the planet Uranus in your sign. So if you're a Taurus, or wherever Taurus is in your chart, there's some unusual things going on. And so think of it as be curious. Think of it as an experiment. Learn from every experience as other planets move by there and trigger the Uranian energy in your chart. I'm sorry, I have a little tickle in my throat. So Venus will enter Taurus on the 28th, and we'll move the chart to there so we can see that what that chart will look like when we get there. So Venus will enter Taurus here, and interestingly enough, it is exactly this on exactly the same time that the moon is conjuncting Uranus. And so this gives us a little bit of an idea of what is going on when Venus moves into Taurus. And Venus is very comfortable in Taurus. Venus rules Taurus. It is one of Venus's home, one of two of Venus's home. The other one is Libra. And the moon touching on Uranus can be unsettling, but having Venus come in at the same time gives you the idea that there's an opportunity for grounding and an opportunity for looking at this as a way of increasing your self-confidence, your self-respect, your visibility of being who you are, of experiencing the changes that you're going through kind of out in the open, where people can see them, where people can experience them. For you, you know, Saturn or Tauruses tend to like to be private. And so wherever Taurus is in your chart, that's kind of a private area of your life. And so you might not be feeling that comfortable with everything that's been going on there. But as I said, if you look at it as an experiment and use the entry of Venus as a way of kind of balancing and harmonizing your world again, and being open, being willing to attract the right kind of support and help, it's going to help you to feel more grounded. Mercury is there as well still, and if you'll notice the nodes are there. And Mercury entered into Gemini and then moved back into Taurus. And so this reversal, this switch with the sun, means there was a change of focus on what you were thinking about, how you were responding to the world, and retrograde planets tend to ask more questions and they provide answers to situations. And so Mercury is asking questions, and this is going to help when you experience this energy of Uranus and Venus in your sign. So, or in the sign wherever it is in your house, you're going to be asking these same questions. And so I suggest you take a walk in nature and just ponder these questions and answer. You know, see if you can find the answers to any of these questions, but let them come to you. Don't force the issue. And one of the questions is your personal value system reflected around you in your life, in your relationships, and in your work? Is it time to reevaluate your resources and how you use them in light of recent changes? What is it you hold dear in this area of your life? What do you value most? Where are you undervaluing yourself? Do you leave room in your life and the lives of others for independent thinking and the freedom of thought? What, if anything, are you stubbornly holding on to that no longer serves who you are becoming? Those are questions that all of us should be asking ourselves right now. and a way to help us decide, help us make decisions in the other rather intense alignments that are going on this week. Take Mercury and Venus's alignment to Pluto. Before Venus moves into Taurus, she aligns with Pluto. And so that's about, and it's at a square, so it's an adjustment needs to be made in your relationships and the control and power in between the people in the relationship. And this could be a partnership, business partnership, or a personal partnership or relationship, but how you relate to people is changing. And so it's important then to ask yourself about your value system, so that, and this is Mercury asking about your value systems, and then Venus is saying, and how are you going to implement this in your life? And then you're going to we have plenty of things coming up really soon that are going to allow us to break new ground, open up new areas of interest for us. And so, take this time, it's just this week, take this time to ask yourself these questions, and it might help you with the other alignments that are going on. The Mercury-Venus alignment to Pluto in Capricorn, Mars and the Jupiter conjunction in Aries, and the Saturn in Aquarius, semi-sextile Neptune in Pisces, just to name a few. So all of the outer social planets are being affected by the faster moving planets. And so it's a busy time. It's a time that, maybe you don't think you have time to contemplate your navel, but let's try anyway. It'll give us just a little bit of room, just a little bit of breathing room, so that we can relax for a few minutes. All of the intensity of these alignments call for a measured approach and the utmost integrity in the use of any power and control issues, challenges, or struggles that come along. It also helped to remember your experience, that what you're experiencing is about you, your choices. You set the agenda going forward. To have plenty of opportunities to break new ground in the coming days, it's up to you to decide what that new ground will look like and the karma it'll carry forward. Jupiter and Mars, their conjunction is exact on May 29th. It's not the only thing motivating us to move forward. But speaking of Mars and Jupiter in Aries, Mars and Jupiter are a lot to handle in any sign, but particularly in Aries. Mars rules Aries and is at home for the first time in almost 2 years due to a retrograde in the latter part of last year for about 5 months. Add to that Mars's recent sabbatical in Pisces, and Mars had run into obstacles in between that retrograde or during the retrograde and his sabbatical in Pisces. So he was kind of stressed to begin with. There were delays, postponements, indecisions. Mars is the planet of desire, motivation, assertiveness. It's a warrior. It wants to break through barriers. And all of this Mars has endured, and now Mars has energy to burn. And Jupiter is certainly on hand. Let me point those out to you. This is Mars and this is Jupiter. And I'm going to change the chart to include that aspect so that you can see it in action. And here they are exact together. You notice the moon is right there with Mercury when Mars and Jupiter are together. And so, you have this idea that with Mars in Aries is that you're going to be bubbling with energy. You're going to have a lot of physical stamina. You're also going to have a lot of courage, all of the emotional type of expressions of Mars, courage, tenacity, all of those things that we think of as being assertive or even downright aggressive, is Mars in Aries. Jupiter is on hand to magnify, to expand this energy, to take it further than Mars could take it on his own. And so, we want to be careful or cognizant of the fact that, you could make a small move, small action, and it would have larger consequences that reverberate out into the future, and make things more difficult. We want to make this. We don't want to make any decisions that we can't go back on, like the school shooting in Texas this past week. That kind of thing. It just kind of blew up into something that was massive and extremely sad. So Mars and Jupiter are really going to ramp up the Aries energy, which is a quest for autonomy, a quest for individuality, a quest for acting on our will, our ego. And so there can be too much of that, but there are also healthy expressions of that, like athletes, people who do physical activity for work, that kind of thing. They're going to have a good time with Mars in Aries and Jupiter in Aries. They're going to be able to get more done faster, better, stronger. And although, you can't push it too far, I've heard of accidents when like bodybuilders push their strength too far. And so you want to be careful when you're doing these things, because our bodies can only handle so much. But Mars is the planet of desire and motivation. And so we want to look for those areas in our life where we're motivated to take action. So all of us have Aries somewhere in our chart. Here it's showing up in the 11th house when it's conjunct, but your Jupiter and Mars could be anywhere in your chart. So look around your chart and see where this is taking place. If it's in the house of home, your children might be extra hyper, or there might be construction or changes going on in your home that require you to do a lot of physical labor. That's a good point. Cleaning your home would be an awesome thing to do while you have all this Mars energy and this Jupiter energy. But expect, if you start cleaning the bedroom, you're going to want to go and clean, this and that and the other. And so pace yourself. And that's part of the key to this Jupiter-Mars alignment, is this is going to reverberate out into the future. Jupiter takes 12 years to get around the chart. So and this is the only time that Mars is going to be in Aries while Jupiter is in Aries. So what is set in motion now will, for the next 5 weeks, will really have a lasting effect on the next 2 years at minimum, and on the next 12 and even longer. So we want to think long term, medium term. That 12 years is not really long term in astrology. It's kind of medium term. The immediate future is also something you want to think about. What is going to be the consequence of this action? Is it going to better my life somehow? Is it going to cause me trouble down the road? People get all kinds of ideas about what they're entitled to. And instead of, I'm breaking new ground, they are ramming through barriers that are there for a good reason. So just keep keep an eye on what you're driven to do or what your desire is. A little extra motivation is good. It can bring us a lot of strength. It can bring us a lot of courage to take action, or it may be that it's the opposite. It's a lack of action that we decide to take. Although with Mars and Jupiter, it's more like doing rather than not doing. But you know, a lack of action is a doing, and so we want to know that it's important for us to know that what we set in motion now is going to last for a while. So we need to use caution, wisdom. We need to use the stamina. Aries is quick to take action, but not known for following through. Jupiter there says, you know, you're going to need to follow through. This is going to go on longer than you think, so you're going to need to follow through. So remember to draw on your persistence, and your persistence will be found here with Sagittarius in Aries, which is, you know, the two signs are sextile, so you can pull on that, your natural Saturn ability for persistence and for scheduling or for making a plan. Aries is not known to plan. So, you know, we want to pull on those energies that will allow us to plan, to be persistent, to take it into the future, not just take one single action now. And then the idea is work smarter, not harder. And Aries tends to be in the mood to get it done now, and they don't necessarily think about how to reduce the effort it takes to get something done. So if you plan, you can generally, you know, coordinate some actions that make it easier for you to work smarter. And now finally, in all of this, the Mercury retrograde is going to end on June 3rd, and we're going to have a new moon. So let's turn the chart to where this new moon takes place so we can see what it looks like then. There we go. So here's the new moon in Gemini at 9 degrees. And you can see Venus is tucked right there into, this happens on the 30th. Venus is finally tucked in there nice on in Taurus, Uranus, and then Mercury is right here, still retrograde when the new moon happens. But we're starting to get an idea, coming to the end of the retrograde, we're starting to get an idea of what we want to do going forward. Venus is going to bring us more confidence, bring us more self-respect, bring us to a place in answering those questions that Mercury has in where things can be re-examined or used in a different way, or talents that maybe you forgot you had, or skills, that kind of thing. It's going to be a different road going forward with once a Gemini new moon takes place. And so that will take place here. It is at 9 degrees, and the only other thing at around 9 degrees is nothing. So that moon gets to be freer than it would have in any other time. So there's a loose semi-sextile with Venus here, and with Uranus, and there is a loose sextile with the planets in Aries. Now the sextile with Chiron there, the funky looking K, is a little tighter, and that's okay because, you know, it's healing. So there might be the opportunity for healing by changing your thoughts or your belief systems or your perceptions, looking at something from a different angle. And so Chiron being there in Aries is certainly going to help this Jupiter and Mars energy express itself, hopefully in a healthier fashion. And so this new moon is the first one on the other side of the nodes. This is the north node, this is the south node, and nodes kind of point us in the direction of growth for the planet, the whole planet. They're in the same houses right now by transit for everyone. I'm sorry, the same signs in transit for everyone. The north node is in Taurus, the south node is in Scorpio, and so we're going from the comfort zone of change and transformation towards a safer, more secure environment. And being able to voice and to communicate our perceptions and our understanding about what we've been through over the last few years is a really positive way to look at the upcoming new moon in Gemini. It gives us a fresh perspective. It gives us the ability to put our feelings into words, to talk about the growth and the changes that we've been through. And then on June 3rd, Mercury will go forward, and we will bring that up. So that is 4 days after the 4 days after the new moon, and by then the moon is in Cancer, the sun is at 12 degrees, and Mars is moving. He's still pretty close, but he's moving further away from Jupiter. So Mercury here, stationary on the 3rd, is telling us that he's getting ready to go in a different direction. Since he's been retrograde, the direction he's going to go in would be forward. S is for stationary. So he's pretty still on the 3rd, and they say that the day that Mercury stations in either direction is more fraught with challenges than the actual retrograde. So be careful on that day, just to watch out for miscommunications, for equipment that feels as if it's not working, but there's not really anything wrong with it. Just give it some time to work itself out. The post shadow of Mercury retrograde will not end until June 18th, and that's when Mercury will start clearing new ground. And I'm only bringing that up because we're talking about Mercury ending his retrograde. Let me see if we can bring that up. So when Mercury gets to 451 here in Gemini, we'll start finally covering some new ground in Gemini as far as our minds go and our understanding and our perceptions. So far we've been, probably most of us, dealing with the ramifications from the eclipses. Mercury retrograde all by itself is enough, and then by then we also have a number of other planets that are at different angles to Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, and Uranus. So the month keeps moving on. But this week we have some pretty intense alignments. There'll be a sense of relief when we get to the Gemini new moon, and a sense of relief when Mercury finally turns forward and begins to cover new ground by the 18th. So that was this week. Again, that's May 27th to June 3rd. And just in case you're wondering, if I am looking for Astrology coaching clients, I have a few slots to fill, and that program is very personal. So if you are interested, please let me know, and I will contact you. You can email me on my website or at SOCINFO, SOCINFO at solacaron.com. Or leave a message down in the comment section, and I will get in touch with you. Thank you very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and I look forward to talking to you with you again soon. Bye, Shiny Soul.